All right, hello and welcome to Swing It and Ding It, an iHeartMedia podcast. This is Moose along with Mays and Matthews, and we have deja vu all over again in a steamy FedEx St. Jude. Lucas Glover beats Patrick Cantlay in a playoff for his second straight win number 6. He has more wins in his 40s than his 20s. Interesting weekend in the game of golf as far as some of the players that are on the bubble that didn't advance, some of the guys that are now in that 31 to 50 range and have to make it forward. But Lucas Glover, man, I mean, back-to-back wins from that guy. Last week it's like, all right, that's cool. New putter. Look at this guy. And then he just goes out with soaked slacks because it was so hot and gets the win. I mean, impressive stuff.
Very impressive. It was like the swamp ass open is really what this was. And I told you how steamy it was down there when I was down there. It looked even worse for these guys this week. The heat index was in the triple digits, I think, for all four of the days. But you talk about the 2 weeks that Lucas Glover's had, Moose and Danielle. He's made $5 million or thereabouts in earnings over the 2 tournament wins. Okay. He's moved up from 53 in the world to 30. So that gets him inside the top 50 for next year. That guarantees him all the majors. And he's inside the top 50 for this week's tournament, which guarantees him all the signature events for next year. So we'll talk about earning potential for this guy, for next year and how he is set up. It's tremendous. He's now number 4 in the FedEx Cup, up from number 49. So he's guaranteed to Atlanta. Pretty much. I don't think there's really anything that can really happen to him. Maybe if he finishes last or something this week, I don't know, but I think he's pretty much self-assured that he's going to Atlanta. Just a tremendous 2 weeks. You talk about a change of life. I mean, I think that in your 40s, can your life change? Yes, it can.
I think they're going to need to talk to Gold Bond for a sponsor next year of that tournament.
Well, the broadcast didn't do him any favors. Like I said to Brandon, like they're zooming in. I'm like,
I know.
Well, come on, give the guy a break. And maybe see his face or something.
Yeah.
And what is it? It's like it's like Groundhog Day, right? When you seize your shot, it's like when Patrick Cantlay sees the playoffs, he comes alive, right? And all of a sudden, this guy is like, you didn't hear much about him. A little bit. He had a couple, spikes in the year where he stepped up, but. Yeah. Something about the playoffs with this guy, and he's somebody to look at, obviously, because of his success with the BMW. But he had a chance in the end, and you get right to the playoff. That was a quick turnaround playoff too. It wasn't like waiting around too long. And he puts his ball into the water.
I was actually surprised because we were watching on the plane. I was just telling you guys. And Brandon's like, Cantlay's winning. I was like, really? I was like, I don't think so. He's like, to win back-to-back 2 weeks in a row is going to be tough. I was like, I don't know. And then in the drink, I was like, wow.
And watching that ball just sort of trickle into the hazard. Wasn't that's worse than just plumping it right in there.
And how about the difference? Like, obviously, there's many differences between us and them. But like, if we hit a ball in the water, we're out of the hole.
Oh, I'm making 7.
Exactly. Yeah. And he missed the putt to tie it by maybe an inch or two.
Right.
It's amazing. Wild. These guys are never out of it because they're so good, no matter where the ball is. It's just something that always sticks out to me. It's like it's not over till it's over with any of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to hit a 155-yard pitching wedge, that you can stick it to 20 feet and still have a chance to make the putt. I mean, you and I know I'd be making 6 or 7 guaranteed.
How about our friend Tommy Fleetwood made a little bit of history?
Yes, he did.
First player in PGA Tour history to surpass $20 million without a win.
Yeah. How about that?
I mean, is that a stat you want, though?
No. I think he'd trade all of that in for just one victory, really. Yeah. But 22 top 5s, Moose and Danielle. Wow. Then think about that. Top 5s. Yeah, tremendous.
Yeah, because we got to talk about Taylor Moore too. He was in the final pairing, and I was like, all right, he's gonna give Lucas the read here. He sunk that putt that propelled him, I think, to 31st to 15th, which set him up moving forward too. So that was just an incredible putt. I thought there was no chance he was making that, and that just dropped, and he was like, boom, done. So that was pretty great for him too to end and climb up the FedEx points a little bit more there too.
Yeah, and down the stretch, I mean, we talked about that back 9 of that golf course last week. 13, he gets an unlucky break on his tee shot, kind of on the edge of the bunker. He's got to stand in the bunker, grip the club all the way down to the metal. It was probably maybe a 6-iron. I don't know what kind of iron he was hitting, but he had to hit it about 180 yards, I think. Comes up short right. and the ball kind of embeds, they thought. And, you know, he calls an official over. The official rules that, hey, no, it's not embedded. You got to hit it as it lies, which was really unfortunate. It's buried in all this gnarly Bermuda rough. He chips it on the green, but he's still got like 20, 30 feet. I forget. I think it was a 20-footer. Actually on 13. He drains the putt for par to move on to 14. And then I don't know what happened, but he pushes his tee shot into the water so far right into the water. You're thinking, here goes the tournament, right? He's hitting from the drop zone, puts it to 30 feet and makes that putt for a bogey. That was the biggest bogey save of his life, probably.
Literally.
And moved on. And, you know, and then he missed a shorty on 15 for birdie. And he was laying sort of hunched over onto, you know, hands on his knees, like he just blew a big opportunity, which he did. But then on 16, he almost chips in for eagle, makes the birdie. And then 17 survived a bad tee shot. He had to make a par there from about, I don't know, 10 feet, makes that. And then 18 survives that and goes to the playoff. And it was about survival is really what it was down the stretch to win that. It's not like he was making birdies. You know, he was just surviving and hanging on. Tremendous stuff.
And sweating.
Yeah. Sweating.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. Like, I don't know about you guys. It feels like a little, I'm guessing because the BMW was here and we attended it last year that it seemed like bigger, or maybe it's because Scheffler and Rahm and some of the big guns that we expect to win aren't winning, but it feels a little bit off this year to me. The excitement level feels off. Does it feel that way for you guys?
I agree. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's more of the star power, you know, stuff. If you look at the leaderboards and, you know, but I don't know. I think it probably has a lot to do with, we're pretty excited about going to the event last year. You know? Absolutely.
That was a big part of it. There's no doubt. But you think about it, Rahm got off to a bad start this past week and was never really in it. And Scheffler stumbled around, of course, because I took him in one and done. But you did see Rory making a couple of moves. I mean, he was kind of on the periphery, you know, through Saturday and Sunday. But I agree with you, Moose. It's kind of off. And that's what I said before we started. I watched probably more of the U.S. Women's Amateur and the U.S. and the Women's Open over in England than I did the FedEx Cup event.
Tell us about that.
Yeah,
it was awesome. You know, if you didn't lay your eyes on Bel Air Country Club for at least a couple of minutes, you really missed out. That place looks like maybe my favorite golf course of all time. Wow. And a place where, I mean, this is like, it's like you plopped Augusta National in the middle of Los Angeles. It's unbelievable how cool this place is. It's definitely my favorite of the 3 George Thomas designs in LA, including Riviera and LA Country Club. What a treasure to watch it. And the action was incredible. I mean, he's had Anna Davis, who had won at Augusta at the women's event a couple of years ago. I remember her. She's going to Auburn on a scholarship starting next year. She's only 17 years old, made it to the round of 16 and lost to an Auburn player, Megan Schofield, who went on to win the whole thing. Rachel Heck from Stanford, who's outstanding, got beat by Latana Stone from LSU. So you had an Auburn versus LSU final. It was great action. And then the Women's Open, Lilia Vu, who is now, you say, who is that? She won the Chevron, the first major of the 5 women's majors back in May, I believe it was. Won the Women's Open at Walton Heath with a final round 67. She went 67-67 on the weekend to win by 6 shots over England's Charlie Hall, who everybody in the crowd was rooting for. It would have been a great story, no doubt. But Charlie Hall finishes runner-up in her second major of the year. But Vu moves to #1 in the world with this win, up from #6. A lot of people might not know who she is. She's a Vietnamese American girl, and she's tremendous. Joe, you talk about like steely eye, like she just doesn't flinch. It was great to watch.
Very cool. I did catch some of it. I did catch some of the course.
I only watched because of the course, because Hare had given us the heads up. Yeah,
the Walton Heath with all the heather, like the purple flower. You don't want to be in there, but it looks nice, right?
It's like seeing something you're not supposed to see, right? That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit on like Thursday and then Friday before we were getting ready to leave for the airport, but I got to be completely honest. I only watched a little bit of the PGA on Sunday, but not having to go to a golf course, not having to travel for golf right now, I'm actually enjoying that we have a little bit of a break right now. So like, you know, playoffs for me, I'm just like, whatever. I get a little bit of time away from a course.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I had a lot of time on the course last week. We had our little AC golf trip and started out at Renault in the morning. Just two of us, Mario and I, and had a great time. Great round. That course is
nice.
They've done a lot to it. It's playable. It's fun. It really is a good time. But then we went over to Seaview and we saw our guy, Alex McGann. I mean, Seaview, obviously the home of the LPGA shop, right? It's amazing to me sometimes when people, even who are like down the shore, haven't played Seaview yet. I'm like, how it played, like when you're there, it's so impressive. The property itself, right? What they've done with the restaurant and, indoor pool, you could stay there, right? On property. Obviously there's a hotel, 2 courses, the Bay and the Pines. We went out on the Bay and we got about 3 holes out and the heavens opened. We knew there was going to be some rain, but it looked like it was going to kind of split. Sometimes it does that. That was the joke. Like, no, it's going to split around the Bay. Well, it didn't. And so there were 6 of us, 3 and 3. The first 3 were like, we're out. Myself, Tony, and Joe Carmelo were like, I don't know. But like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's going to suck for 30 minutes, but then it's going to be fine. And it did. It sucked for 30 minutes. We had 2 holes of just driving, pouring rain. And then it cleared up. So we played the rest of the round in sun, and it was beautiful. Yeah,
I had nothing to do with that rain.
I was going to say, was Harry within like a 20-mile radius?
No, I was not.
Yeah, I was looking around for him. But yeah, thanks to Alex and his team. If you haven't had a chance to get down there, make sure you get down there and play. And then the next day, we went over to Great Bay, which we had Frank Rocco on the podcast, owner of Ocean Casino in Great Bay. What an incredible job they've done. My first time playing it. Incredible location right in Summers Point. I was blown away. We had an absolute blast. The staff, JC, all the guys down there were tremendous. And we played a little modified Stableford because we went out as a 5 and we all tee off and we're all over the place. And I'm like, my ADD is not going to get me through this day. I'm like, we need to bet. We need to gamble because like we need to figure this out. So we were closest to the pins on the par 3s and just an incredible course. Like if you get a chance to get down there and check it out, if you've played it before in the past 5-10 years, go play it again now because it'll blow you away.
How did you guys make out? I think it might be, is it the 12th hole, the dog leg left with the water?
That's
you can't see it from the tee, but it's a very difficult hole. And then there's a par 3 right after that. That's pretty hard too.
Because really there's water on the right too. There's water. You have to go over the water, but then you hit up into to the pin. You can't really tell the water. So if you miss right, you're dead. But yeah, it's a kind of course that I would love to play again now, right after some of the little the quirks, but tremendous. So thank you to both Alex McGann and Frank Rocco for sure. And then next week I head up to Lake George. With Greeny and I will play Sagamore and Ticonderoga. Looking like a little chilly up there next week.
It does look chilly.
Out the slacks for the morning rounds.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe maybe a little.
That's my preferred look, by the way. Slacks and a fleece. That's how I like to play golf. So fall golf really is the best golf.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. For sure. Harry, talk about some of the local guys in the golf world that you want to highlight this week.
Yeah, well, we got the U.S. amateurs going on right now out in Cherry Hills, Colorado, and there's a couple local guys, 2 of note that I saw pretty high up on the leaderboard, at least after the first day. Patrick Sheehan, and who's from Doylestown area, and Nicholas Gross, who's from Downingtown. Both of those guys were playing well and off to a good start. So that's something to keep an eye on this week. But we got to give congratulations to a friend of the show, John Rusk over at Lulu, has qualified for the U.S. Mid-Amateur tournament coming up in September, taking place at Sleepy Hollow. What a tremendous. You follow Links Gems, and Links Gems, he can't get enough of taking pictures of Sleepy Hollow. So that's going to be a great. Also, Fenway Golf Course is another course right by there that they're both going to be hosting the event. It takes place September 9th through the 14th. So good luck to John Rusk in the U.S. Mid-Am. And we got to give a congratulations to, a shout out to one of our friends, Chris Hansen. Formerly of the 1912 Club, was the head professional over there for 20 some odd years, and has now been at Bala Golf Club for the last 2 years as an assistant. Does a tremendous job of teaching. He has just accepted a position to go down to the club at Ibis, down right by Danielle, and he's going to be working with Martin Hall on the staff, on the teaching staff at Ibis. So congratulations to Chris Hansen. He's going to start that sometime in mid-November.
Tremendous.
You're going to have a neighbor down there, Danielle.
Another one.
Two great guys.
To rent.
Two very different gentlemen, but 2 great guys for sure. I don't mean different. I mean from each other. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
But congrats. That's great stuff. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that for sure. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back to preview the BMW Championship. All right, and welcome back to Swing It and Ding It as the top 50 head to Olympia Fields, Illinois. Last year, as we mentioned, this was the one that was at Wilmington Country Club. We're calling it the Patrick Cantlay Invitational, right?
I think so.
He goes 15 under, also wins it 21 at Caves Valley. You have Rahm in 2020 on this course, if you remember, over DJ in the playoff, which was an incredible, but it was only, 4 under was the best. It was playing very firm and fast, which I don't think it will be this time around. There's over 2 inches of rain this week with more to come. Also some history of that 2003 U.S. Open with Jim Furyk gets to win at this golf course. Something to look out for. Of the last 8, only 2 have finished worse than 12th in the Fedex St. Jude's the week before. So this is a cream rising to the crop here. And there's some guys that are on the bubble, right? You talk about some of those 31 to 50 guys like Cameron Young, who's been talked about for the Ryder Cup. Justin Rose, who I kind of like to make a run. Fitzy, Matt Fitzpatrick. Yep. So a lot of interesting storylines within the story of this tournament this week.
Yeah, I think Cameron Young might need a top 5 actually to guarantee his trip to East Lake. And of course, he's looking to be part of the Ryder Cup. In fact, a lot of people that are guessing that he's going to be a part of the team, but he needs a big week. But yeah, this I watched the 03 Open back with Jim Furyk and came away like thinking, Olympia Fields doesn't really do much for me. And I was like, it's like just your typical parkland style golf course. Nothing really stood out when they're talking about the clubhouse and the clock tower and the fact that there's a railway that goes by the golf course as the features. I'm thinking, well, what about the golf course? You know what I mean? Moose, this locker room needs to be investigated by you because I understand it's 10,000 square feet. The locker room.
Whoa.
Okay. The clubhouse is 110,000 square feet. Think about that.
That's definitely got to be on the locker room highlights.
It has to be. We got to get a picture somehow of this locker room there because I love that idea of you talking about locker rooms. It gets, people just love sending that stuff in. You got a whole lot of feedback on that.
Yeah.
But it's a tight golf course, a lot of trees, even though they de-treed it years ago. Modest sized green, well bunkered. Scoring is tough, although, like you said, Moose, it'd probably be a little bit better this year than it was a few years ago when John Rahm sunk that 60-some-odd foot putt. You talk about the drama. DJ, I think, had to hole like a 30 or 40-footer to force extra hole. And then Rahm, that was just tremendous drama. I hope we get the same or something similar this week.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's The Course, of course, by Harry Mays.
Yeah.
Danielle, we have love for the rookies here on this show. Eric Cole, the only rookie in the BMW. You think about that, right? The rookies were really having a great year. It surprised me when I saw that, right? When you see some of the other names that are in there, and Eric Cole, but it's a tribute to him and what he's done this season.
He's had a fantastic season. We talked about it last week that only, not just focused on the rookies, but the 70 that had came up and only 7 of them had made it to the playoffs and that chopped down to 50. And like you said, only Eric is there. I think it's a testament just to how he's played so far this year, as you said. But we talked about it last week, just looking at how he placed, where he got, second at Honda, a couple top 10s, and still he had to work his butt off to get into the top 50 here.
Right. But now he's guaranteed into the signature events next year. Some of the majors.
Is huge.
It is huge. You talk about it. It pretty much guarantees him rookie of the year too, right?
I would think so. I would think so.
Yeah.
And it's funny saying rookie because Eric's 34 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So he looks young, but he's a little bit older. He's Patrick Cantlay's age. So I think it was it one of you two that put up like how is Jordan Spieth just turning 30? Like has he been on the PGA Tour since he was like 5? And Eric Cole's older than him. So just puts it into perspective of what a grind this game is and how hard Eric has worked. So
I mean, look at Lucas Glover, right? More
Yeah.
wins in his 40s than his 20s. So you never know when you're going to find it, when you're going to find it out there. That's why we all keep playing, right?
That's right.
Mick from the Samboners posted this week about how do you keep playing if you never, you don't break 100. It's because of that. You always think you're going to get your next round is going to be the round that you do it. That's what drives us all crazy.
There's a chance.
Yep. Golf is a battle within myself, Moose and Danielle. That's how I look at it.
Within all of us. We do have to take 1 second just to acknowledge episode 150.
That's right.
We need some noise.
That's
we
right.
We're gonna produce
the Sean Brace horn.
Confetti, some horns.
That's right. That's right. And we're going to keep it going too. We're going to keep it going. I'm glad it's just the three of us for episode 150. I think that's.
Oh, that's Harry coming in. I was like,
wow.
I
had that on my phone. I'm like, I got to find that.
That's perfect.
You found that pretty quick. That's good. That's impressive. That's very impressive. All right. Well, we talked to we'll talk about our friends at DraftKings for a moment as we see the line with this tournament. I mean, I find these tougher to bet. I know that sounds weird, the smaller fields, but from tee to green, the best place to go to get in on all the action happening on the links is DraftKings Sportsbook. This week, new customers will receive an odds boost to add plus 1,000 on any pre-tournament wager up to $10 on any golfer to win. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odds boosts all tournament long, so be sure to check out DraftKings Sportsbook app every day before the tournament starts to see what they have in store. Somebody I'm looking out for is Fleetwood. We talked about it. Will he get his win? That number at 2,000. I actually have him in the one and done, and we'll probably put him in my DraftKings fantasy lineup. But as I mentioned earlier, right, this is of the last 8 winners, only 2 finished outside of the top 12 the week before. So got to take a look at some of the top guys. But download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code DING and boost your odds during this weekend's tournament. That's code DING only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. There's always, every year, there's someone on the list that you go, really? He's in this? And to me, that's Andrew Putnam. I know he's been playing well, but his name just doesn't jump out, right? But I actually like him in a top 10. I heard an interview with him that he really likes this course. It reminds him a lot of his home course. So at plus 800 and a top 10, I'm actually going to take a little shot at him. We talked about Justin Rose. I'm going to put him in a top 5 at plus 900. And I do like Eric Cole. I think he's going to finish in the top 10 as well. I'll pull up his number. You guys talk about who you like real quick.
Yeah, actually, I stumbled upon something last night on DraftKings that I hadn't noticed before, but I took 2 bets on it. Your boy Fleetwood, Moose, to win without is the name of the bet. So Fleetwood to win without McIlroy, Scheffler, or Rahm is plus 1,400. So you take the 3 best players out of the tournament, and he's plus 1,400. What was he straight up to plus 2,000 or something, or 2,200?
2,000.
2,000. Okay. Yeah. And then I took Tyrrell Hatton win without McIlroy, Scheffler, or Rahm at plus 1,600. So those are 2
so
I
win
jumped
without
on.
Is if they MC, if they miss the cut.
No, it's just the way I took
them out of the equation. Right?
They're out of the equation. Those 3 guys.
So if one of those win, it wouldn't.
It doesn't hurt you.
Oh,
that's the way I took it.
Huh.
Okay.
So it's kind of an interesting.
Hey, I look to you guys on my, my betting expertise.
Now, I took Hatton in a top 10 also at plus 190. I like him this week on this golf course. I took Rahm in my one and done because he's left. He's probably, I expect a big bounce back from him. This
you had a pretty deep bench going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I did. I screwed up the whole year. The whole live thing screwed me up. Yeah. It really did. Cam Davis is a guy that I'm looking at in a top 20 at plus money, plus 125. It's hard to get a top 20 at plus money in a tournament with only 50 players. So I took him, and then I went for 4 matchups. I took Jason Day minus 120 over Rosie. Rahm over Cantlay. He's minus 130 over Cantlay, who's going for his 3rd straight BMW. Cam Young, minus 140 over our guy, Lucas Glover. Big week for Cam Young. He needs to play well. and Tony Finau at -110 over Ben On are 4 matchups that I'm involved in.
I like it. Do we still have Moose?
I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen too.
He's frozen. I had nothing to do with it, Danielle. I swear. It might be raining where Moose is.
But you're away from the area.
Exactly. I am. I have nothing to do with it. Does anybody jump out at you that you think, outside of some of the guys that we root for on this show, that might play well this week?
Harry, I have to just be fully transparent. I haven't looked or thought about this tournament this week. Like I said, having just a tiny little break from golf. I'm like, I'm good for a minute. I think we got Moose back.
Yeah,
okay. We possibly.
Did you guys keep going? Were you guys could see hear each other?
Yeah,
I was just going
down.
Yeah, you were frozen.
Nice
like,
work
he's
out
frozen.
of you.
Let's just keep rolling. We got another horn sound. No, I'm just kidding. We were just Harry went through and then he was just asking me about my thoughts and my picks. But is there going to be another fantasy lineup this week for?
I think I was a little late to put it together, and it's weird. I feel it from the people too. There's just like a little less excitement this year around it. So maybe we'll just go next week for the big one.
Okay.
I like it.
And make it a bigger one. Eric Cole, 650, by the way. Top 10, 650. That was the number I was looking up. Yeah, I think that's what crashed my whole computer.
I was going to say multi-time.
Well, it's like that show
around sacrifices for this show.
That's right.
Right. It's like that show Around the Horn when that guy Reale hits the button and one of the guys, they freeze him. That's what you looked like on the show.
Yeah, you almost looked like a cartoon.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Harry, our friends at Mall Chevy, though, by the way, I call up Dante last week and I say, hey, listen, Greeny had a little problem. His wife's Traverse is totaled, needs a car. Within like 3 minutes, those two were talking. They're delivering the car over to Lafayette Hill like today to give.
Seriously?
To give them. So, yeah, I mean, they are the best over there. The best Chevrolet dealer around, hands down.
That's why, Moose, they've been South Jersey's #1 Chevy dealer for 8 years in a row. Now, you talk about treating your customers right. There you go. You got a firsthand look at why Mall Chevy was voted top 100 dealer in the country for customer satisfaction. Not just the area, the entire country. But I still think that motto is pretty cool. We sell Chevys for less. So find your perfect drive at Mall Chevrolet. Visit Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road, right in Cherry Hill, across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or online at mallchevy.com.
Tremendous. Great stuff, guys. We'll be looking forward to seeing who is headed to Eastlake and seeing if we can hit some of these bets. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, do all the stuff we need you to do to help us out. We appreciate it. And we'll be back next week.